What's up, everybody? This is Josh coming to you with another episode of the Affiliate Marketing Show. Please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest affiliate marketing news, tips, and trends. Josh from OfferVault.com, the industry's largest aggregator of all things affiliate marketing. We also have Mr. Paper Call, literally in the flesh, Adam Young, back on the show by popular demand. The industry legend Harrison Gevirtz may or may not hop on today, but most importantly, we have a very good friend of mine, a very special guest. This is Mike Carney. He's the founder of Performance Marketing Jobs, which is an award-winning recruitment agency within our industry and without it, I'm sure. But more importantly, Mike, is the man who got me the job at OfferVault. Or got me the interview, we can say.
I did the introduction. You got the job.
The reason I said Mark is because Mike worked with Mark, former owner of OfferVault, before Adam Young of Ringba added it to his portfolio, which is no secret now. But Mike helped get me connected with Mark back in 2015, actually. And then January of 16, I started, and my God, it's almost been 10 years. It's crazy. Speaking of 10 years, Mike, before we jump into your stuff, Ringba just celebrated their 10-year anniversary. You might have known this if you follow Adam Young on Instagram at Adam Young. You may have noticed Adam was not wearing a shirt all weekend. And Adam, I see the party is still going.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to put it back on yet.
You're the modern.
You're just trying to help the ratings. That's what you're doing, right?
You're the modern
sexual appeal of the show.
Yeah, this might become a new thing. I think it's going to catch on. All seriousness, looked like an epic weekend. I'm sure EDC is epic every year, even more especially this year. I saw you guys had your own private area away from the normal folk, if you will. I saw there was dancers, there was a lot of friends of the pod and industry legends celebrating with you. So helicopters, why don't you just kind of give us a brief synopsis of what Friday through Sunday looked like in the world of CEO of Ringba, Adam Young?
Well, last year I went to EDC for the first time and I had a blast there. I had never been to anything like it, and Kim took me, and it was pretty incredible. I didn't really dance for most of the time last year. I hadn't found myself yet. I wasn't having fun previously. I was just grinding so hard, and that wasn't healthy. But during the Armin van Buuren set last year, I started dancing for the first time in a really long time, and it's just I don't know. For me, it just allows me to channel my creativity. It's great for fitness, of course, but now I take it a bit far. I'm not sure Kim is all that happy with what she started, but this year, she's over there. She said, no. But this year we had artist guest passes, and Friday and Saturday I went with Kim and 4 other friends. Ray Sinlau was one of them. And on Friday night, we partied at the owner of EDC's table. And then on Saturday night, they gave me one next to his table with a security guard for some reason, which was pretty amazing. I think they just liked my dancing. I don't know if you're familiar, Josh, but Mao P strolled up to me at the owner's table, stopped me with his entourage, and said that my energy was incredible and he's never seen anything like it and he loves it. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to go rage to his set because of wind on Saturday night. The helicopters were grounded for a couple hours. I saw him at the heliport, and he actually ran out and got on a shuttle bus and spent almost 2 hours in that to get there. But we eventually flew in, and on Friday night, I did 34,000 steps. On Saturday night, 31,000. On Sunday night, 35,000. On Sunday night, we had 35 of our friends fly out, and we took a fleet of helicopters out to the rave, and we had a private platform in the middle of the crowd, which was absolutely amazing. It was one hell of a time, crazy party, and we were celebrating Ringba's 10th birthday, which is insanity to me. When I realized it's been 10 years, looking back, I just can't believe it because it doesn't feel like 10 years. Like I'm still incredibly motivated, more motivated now than ever. I'm so proud of our team and my partner Harrison and just everybody that's been involved, our customers. And we've gone from in 2015 having our first customer to now powering billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of business. And so it's been a crazy journey, and it was an amazing thing to celebrate with some of our closest friends who are also our customers. So it was very cool.
How'd Harrison do, by the way? I texted him going into the weekend. I said, "Have fun," and he said something I won't repeat back on the show. But how did he do? Did he make it through?
I mean, I think he had a great time. He did not make it until sunrise. He left, I think, around 2:30 or 2:45 in the morning
I
and
mean,
called it a night. So
that's pretty good for
9,
him,
10, 11, 12,
honestly.
1. So he made it 6.5 hours, which is pretty good, not the full 10 or so. But the rest of us made it the full 10.
Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, I
Well, actually, no, that's
imagine.
not true. I think he left with Ankur and Travis Prouty from Call Gurus. But everyone else made it until sunrise.
I'm assuming that must have been like a pretty cool experience for you and Harrison, obviously, specifically, like a lot of nostalgia. It seemed like you had a lot of people there from the early days. Like, were you able to kind of just take a step back and like look at it, from a bird's eye view and see yourself in the moment and just be like, this is fucking crazy that we're here right now.
That's kind of hard to do, but believe it or not, most of the guests stopped me and made me have that moment. Like Ray stopped me and was like, you need to take a moment and just recognize what you've built. He made a post about it today on his Insta where he talked about me giving him a call one day and saying like, hey, you need to get into calls and how it changed his life. And it was like a really humbling moment. And then many other people did the exact same thing. And so it was pretty intense to hear them say these things and take a step back and look at it because you never really do that, right? Like it's always looking towards the future and um, focusing on what you need to do to make sure that your team and your customers are successful. And taking a step back and looking at it and like having a moment of pride is something like a lot of entrepreneurs like me, we almost deny ourselves that moment. And our friends were not going to allow that that night. And I went and did the same thing with Harrison. I made him take a step back, and it was a really cool thing. And I'm better about celebrating these moments now. Kim actually helps me with this. But I didn't used to do it, and I think it's a really good thing because when you stop and have that moment and you're able to take pride in what you've built, like I'm pretty fired up right now to go build even more. And I think I thought that denying myself that moment and staying focused on building and like never looking at it and being like, wow, look at this was just the tunnel vision I needed to keep building. But in reality, the stopping and taking a look at it is a pretty incredible thing. And I had some amazing moments there. And I just am so grateful for all of our customers and our team. And yeah, just like never felt more driven and motivated than I do at this very moment.
Mike, I
Adam, I got a
assume.
question for you.
Oh yeah, go for it. I was gonna kick it to you, but go
Okay.
ahead.
Well, first off, kudos on the 10 years. It's pretty wild. My company passed 10 years as well. And I know when you get there, like there's kind of a holy shit moment of, well, that didn't feel like 10 years, but that's a pretty big accomplishment when you think of all the small businesses that fail in the first year and the first 5 years. Like the numbers get smaller and smaller. I noticed that like over the last year, you guys have had a pretty substantial growth employee-wise, like 47%. And the Ringba brand over the last 2, 3 years it kind of seems like it's been everywhere. What's kind of like the moment that you've seen over that time period, like the last 2, 3 years, where you kind of poured gasoline on the fire and the promotion of the Goat Club and all that? Like, was there a turning point that kind of fueled, that brand exposure and the growth in the company? Obviously, pay per call is flying now, but at some point, it was probably like a slow ember, and you guys really kind of bursted, in success. What do you kind of attribute to that in the last 2, 3 years?
Sure. So, over the last 24 months, I think it's 78% headcount growth.
Hmm.
Um, I think at the beginning we're very financially conservative, so we didn't explode the team. And it just got to a point where we needed to build a lot of redundancy and enterprise components and refine a lot of technology and invest in the future. So we drastically expanded our support team and our engineering teams to do that. I don't think it was one thing that was an inflection point. Our growth year over year has been percentage wise very consistent. And I don't think people realize the scale that we're at. And I'm actually going to disclose some of that at Contact.io this year. Mike Furry asked me to do a presentation on it. We were just talking this morning, and we're going to talk about the actual scale of what the pay-per-call opportunity is. And it's really a powerful thing. And so if I look back and I try to pinpoint it, I think what really started accelerating growth was when we put out ring trees. Not right away, by the way. It was actually a few years later, once the industry started to realize the power of it. Adoption is a really complex thing when you try and shift an entire industry. For instance, in 2020, we put out real-time bidding. That was 5 years ago. And it
Hmm.
wasn't until 2.5 years ago that it started to get real traction. Even though companies like Progressive Insurance started using it in 2020, our industry didn't fully understand the power of it until later. And so you have these technological advancements that that we're building up. Then you have the adoption of those advancements, and then the marketing strategy that was layered on top of it, which includes, our Goat Club, our trade show investments, our meetup investments, our digital marketing, the books I write, distribution of those books, the social media marketing we're doing now. I'm starting to build a rather large following. And the content I put out gets pushed a lot more by the algorithms than a lot of other people's because of name recognition, right? Like there are hundreds of thousands of users inside of Ringba's platform. And so like all
Hmm.
these people know Ringba, they know who we are. We've acquired the best trade show sponsorships across almost every single industry event we do. And we've really put a lot of effort into helping our customers be successful. And that is what we're known for. And so I think it's all of these things combined. Like to grow a business like ours is nearly impossible. If you look at the statistics, like you said, in the first 5 years, it's like 95 plus 97% fail.
Yeah.
For bootstrapped companies, because Ringba has no outside investment, that number compresses even smaller. And so if you look at the top 500 SaaS companies in the country, only 50 or so of them are bootstrapped. And so it's a really, really rare thing what Ringba is. And it comes from all of those things put together. You got to have great mission and great values and deliver incredible support and really good product and technology and marketing and training and events and like all these things. Like it's a nonstop evolution. And one thing that I think has been paramount to our success is Harrison and my willingness to essentially innovate out our own innovations. Like
Mm.
if we build something and it's doing really well and we see a way to change it to make it do better, or build something that makes it obsolete, we'll do it. If we see a 5-year investment that we're not sure of, that's a moonshot or something, we're going to take that. We don't pull money out of the company. We don't even pay ourselves a lot of money. We wait for the right opportunity to deploy that capital in such a way that it's beneficial to our customers. And that's why you saw this massive team member growth. We knew we needed to do it. And so we had the capital, we invested in it. And we're doing that now with a few other things. Like you're going to see some new product lines come out soon that are going to be really interesting and unexpected. You probably recently saw a drastic investment in our exchange product, which has been around for over 2 years now, by the way. Everyone thinks it's new, but it's been around for more than 2 years. We have Adam Say running that, and we're expanding it drastically. There's just like we just don't stop innovating and investing and changing and growing. And I know that's a really long answer to your question, but it's not as simple as an inflection point. Like you really have to be on top of every single piece of the business at all times, and then be willing to look in the mirror and go, hey, what's working? What's not working? What are our problems? How do we fix it? Where did we fail? How do we improve? Then it's a really cool thing when you get that right, obviously, because you win.
Well, I think it's a good mindset because, like, if you looked at, guys like myself and Josh been around a long time, and if you looked at the top 10 companies in the space year after year and who the exhibitors are, to a certain extent, quite a few of those companies drop off. So if they're not innovating, it's like, yeah, you won't be on the attendee list next year because you bankrolled yourself, right? Like you bankrupt yourself just because you weren't innovating making your own proprietary technology.
Well, a lot of, the trade show strategy that people have, and it's no secret what ours is, like the way that most companies do it, and I'm not going to say the name, but there's an old, very large competitor of ours, right, that used to have a big trade show presence and it went away. The methodology is build the trade show presence up, and then once you've achieved a certain scale, then you've captured the customers and their data, then you lower your trade show presence. Now, what you just said is the proof in the pudding. And that is when people see that, it's a negative scale perception. People think you're losing market share. And so you can't stop investing in the trade shows if you've made a big investment. That's a permanent defensible investment that you have to keep making. Otherwise, someone like me comes along, spends as much money as possible to take every single sponsorship away from you that is good. And then we're fine spending the money to keep it. And it makes it really complicated for a new company to come into a space and get the kind of exposure we have. It makes it almost impossible, in fact, because of the way the trade shows do it. Now, a lot of companies that are venture backed, they want to bring their costs down, right? Because they have different goals than the entrepreneurs. And then a lot of bootstrap companies that do it and are run by entrepreneurs want to bring the trade show spend down because they want to keep the money, right? For whatever they want to YOLO it. And so we just don't play by everyone else's rules. We never have. We usually look left when everyone goes right, which is a really hard thing to do because it's risk and it can be scary. But Harrison and I never really had a problem with that. We're just like, we're in this to build something massive, and that requires fucking balls.
Yeah. Well, there's no shortage of, I guess, embracing a risk technology, a risk-taking type of approach with Harrison. That's for sure. Oh, like old school affiliate marketer, right?
Yeah. Hashtag don't touch Adam's lanyards. That's the message here.
I mean, you can try.
Part of growing, like we've been talking about in the Ringba brand and the success, I would have to think is hiring the right people. I know, Mike, that's kind of where you fit into the equation and with performance marketing jobs. Can you tell us a little bit about like where you were in the industry before performance marketing jobs and what kind of led you to actually, put the wheels in motion to get that going?
Yeah, for sure. I joined the industry in 2008, and I had spent 10 years on the CPM side of online. Like I was running ad programs, selling ad inventory to banks and car companies and all that kind of stuff. And it pretty much was like selling widgets. So if you represented a financial, information website, you basically sold to cars and, the financially fit type of audiences. And if you work for Yahoo, then, you sold to the Pepsi generation, right? So you're kind of limited at who you could sell to. And I did that for 10 years and got pretty bored. So I was looking to stay in online, but hopefully, find something that was just more mentally engaging. And then that's when I crossed paths with affiliate marketing and affiliate networks. And the first job that I got offered, I actually turned down because the compensation model was so weird to me. It was like, okay, your commission is based on a percentage of your profit volume that you generate from your clients and your campaigns. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I was used to like if I signed a $1 million deal with a bank, like I earned commission on that, and that bank was mandated that they had to spend $1 million with that website. So it was like guaranteed commission, right? And then and with the affiliate space, it's kind of like you could have 100 clients and barely make any commission because those campaigns were not competitive with other offers in those offer categories. And when I finally accepted the position, it was about 6 months later, I went back to the same affiliate network. And at that time, they were called AdValiant. And they ended up being Media Trust after about a year and a half or so. But I did business development for them, pulled in the offers, and I got pretty lucky. I was actually sitting beside kind of like an OG of the industry, and that person had about 4 clients and was bringing in about $500,000 of profit per month. And my first 3 months, my activity was through the roof. I had tons of clients, but the profit volume wasn't that great. And I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong here? And he's like, you got to learn how to say no. You got to learn to negotiate better deals. You got to learn how to do, more research into the competitive pressures of the offers and so on. And then I slowly started negotiating better deals and doing, more research and supplying research. And it's kind of like, if you want the affiliate traffic, here are the conditions. Here are the price points. You got to have, back end offers to sell, better lifetime value so you can pay it more on the front end traffic. So essentially, I worked for two affiliate networks over 3.5 years, brought in the offers, and then I launched my own company after that because I worked for Valiant, which became Media Trust, and then Epic Direct, which is the old Azoogle. And then when I launched my own company, I basically did the same job. I pulled in offers, but then I was also the affiliate manager pulling in traffic on those offers. And then after a while, I saw that there was an opportunity to offer recruitment services within our industry because people were calling me and saying, "Hey, Mike, we want you to come work for us, on our BD team." And I didn't want to work for another affiliate network doing the same stuff. But I said, "Okay, well, I could probably, lean on some connections and get you some names and stuff like that." And my first job actually in the online space was actually for a company that bought monster.com. And so I was a recruitment consultant eons ago, designing ads for the newspapers. And then they bought the Monster board, which became monster.com. And I started to see that online job postings were absolutely slaughtering the ROI that they would get from newspaper ads. So that's why I got into online advertising to start. But then I saw in our industry that, there wasn't, I guess, like a lot of people who understood the industry as a starting point. But I thought I could start offering recruitment services. And then within a year, I shut down all my campaigns and I focused on recruitment full time. And then we just went past our 13th year at performance marketing jobs. And I've been recruiting for online lead gen companies, direct to consumer e-commerce, SaaS companies. Most of the positions are revenue focused, but a pretty cool selection of companies over the years, top 10 affiliate networks and so on. So still plugging away. So, you
Is
know,
it true? Is it true
pretty,
that I am the most tenured of your
you are.
clients? Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah.
look
You're
at
the
me, guys.
longest tenured hire for sure. Yeah. I got to get you a GOAT award.
I need a jacket. I need a gold
The
jacket or
performance marketing
something.
gods
Yeah, yeah. Maybe
GOAT
like for
award.
10 years. Yeah, at the 10-year
Yeah.
anniversary coming up. How's the job market been
Well,
in our
don't fuck with my
industry?
trademark, Mike.
What's that,
Yeah,
Adam?
I said, careful, don't fuck with my trademark. You don't want
I know.
that.
I know. It's funny that you mentioned that. I won't name names here. I love your style. Don't name names. I don't want a pissing contest. There was actually somebody in the industry, pretty big name in the industry, pretty big company that actually launched a career site that was performance-marketing-jobs.com.
it's brutal.
And I was just like, what the what? So I politely reached out and said, you probably don't know this, but I actually had the trademark on that. And I'm open to working together if you want some type of rev share relationship. Otherwise, please take it down. And then they said, well, let me check with our lawyers and we'll get back to you. And within a week, they said, yeah, we're taking it down.
Nice.
Well,
That's the
you
way
know
to do
what?
it.
I just want to highlight that experience there because that's the best possible outcome you could
Mm.
get. And look, sometimes people make mistakes and those people own the mistake and took it down and you didn't have
Yeah,
to fight with them. And, that's really how it should be, right?
yeah. Yeah, no, it was a polite reaction and it was a professional reaction, and I was like, fantastic. I'd rather have that than get into some type of BS conversation, right?
Now, let me ask you this on the recruiting side, right? So you're recruiting for affiliate networks, mostly revenue generating positions, so sales type positions, account management type positions, I'm guessing. In our industry, there's a lot of turnover. People jump from company to company to company. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on that because some really good people end up doing that. And I've spoken to them and their reasons make sense. But in our industry specifically, I see a high amount of turnover. Now, at Ringba, we don't have that. We do have some because we have, over 100 people now.
Hmm.
But it's not common that someone spends less than a year at Ringba. It's almost unheard of. Most people spend years and years here. Uh, and we support them no matter what. Like our mission actually is to, or our first value to lead actually includes a sentence, which is anyone we come in contact with, we want to leave better off than when we found them, regardless of what their future holds, right? And
Hmm.
so we have team members that have left and come back, and they're like, "Hey, I left. I looked for something else. I don't want it anymore. Like I'm gonna
Yeah,
come
yeah.
back here." But in our industry, there's so much turnover, and I'm curious what your thoughts are and what you've seen as to why. And then on the other side of it, like when you have companies that don't have turnover, like what do you see there? What's the difference?
Um, it's kind of a mixed bag of there's not just one thing. I think the challenge is that because there's a lot of entrepreneurial companies in our space, they're not well-funded companies, is that they always try to hire juniors first. They try to get by with juniors first. And having been a VP of sales myself, like I was basically told, I want you to hire young and beautiful. And if they're single, fantastic. And I'm like, well, I'd rather hire somebody who I know is going to stay 3 to 5 years and has a Rolodex. And but the mentality is no, like we need as many bodies as possible, as cheap as possible. And if they don't work out, they don't work out. I'd rather go with the Rolodex. So typically, my clients, obviously, when you're talking about working with a headhunter, they only come to me for intermediate and experienced professionals versus juniors. So I try not to work on junior hires at all because I don't want my business name associated with hires that don't work out. And that's typically juniors. But there are a lot of broken promises in the industry where people are oversold a position. And then when they find out that it's kind of BS responsibility wise or compensation wise, once somebody flashes a higher salary at them, they typically leave. And then there's companies that just don't do a good job of retaining what they have. Like I love what you guys do. Like I follow you guys on this, on social media, and the offering of the free basketball tickets. Having good exposure at trade shows. Like I think your employees, I haven't talked to your employees, but I'm sure that they would say, yeah, I'm proud to work for Ringba because we're a big company in the space. Everybody knows the brand. When they make a phone call, people recognize the brand. You hold cool networking events. It's easier for them to network because you're hosting the networking. So there's a lot of companies that try to get by on the cheap and they end up paying long term because their customers are saying, yeah, my rep's gone. Who can I talk to now? Like, I want to do business, but I don't have a clue. And then those negative perceptions, negative stories make it throughout the industry. And, people stop dealing with those companies because their hiring philosophy was based on hiring juniors.
I'd like to touch on that too.
Sure.
Our philosophy has never been to do that. I remember the first team member we brought on, and our CTO was like, "Hey, we want to hire this guy. I've worked with him before. He's a California ad tech engineer. He needs full family insurance, W-2, 180K." And I'm like, uh, bro. And he's like, "Look, we need real talent. If it's not real
Yeah.
talent, it's not going to work. Like, you want to build high performance software, Adam? What do you want to do? Outsource this shit?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I want to hire the guy." And so we're like, all right, fine. And then the next one, same thing, like very expensive. And we've never gone with cheap talent. Anytime we've
Mhm.
hired anybody on the cheap, it goes poorly. Like, you don't want a body that can't get the job done. You want someone who can deliver more than you ask them to, right? Above and
Yeah.
beyond. And
Yeah.
we learned that lesson in our other businesses. And so when we got to Ringba, we were just like, we're not going to do that. And so we've always invested heavily in our talent. We've always gone after the best talent we can possibly find. And for entrepreneurs out there, I have to say, like, it's a really scary thing to bring someone on and pay them a couple $100,000 a
Oh,
year.
for sure. Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. But I got to tell you something, like, you bring someone on who wins no matter what, of course they're going to need $200,000 a year or whatever it is, right? But
Yeah.
all you have to do is send that person off to do their job, and you don't even have to train them half the time. I mean, look, we brought on Adam Say. That was no easy task for the exchange. But I got to tell
Mhm.
you, I don't talk to him that often. I go to a weekly stand
Yeah.
up and listen. I don't usually participate. And he was like asking me questions the first week or asking for permission. And I was like, bro, you need to stop calling me. Like, you just need to go do whatever you think is right. And if there's
Right.
a mistake,
Yeah.
I'm here for you. But like, you need to hit me up for help and resources. But
Yeah.
you already know what to do, bro. Like, you're the boss. Go do your shit. And he's like,
Yeah.
this is amazing. Like, he
Yeah.
gets to go like really run that part of our business, and that's an exciting opportunity. It's scary as hell as an entrepreneur most of the
Oh,
time.
for sure.
And then what's going to happen, and I can already predict the future, is he and his team are going to exceed my expectations and what I want them to accomplish without me
Mhm.
really having to think about it, which is an
Yeah.
incredible luxury. But it's because we're willing to take the risk on bringing on great talent. And his first move was to hire a bunch of people on that team who were not cheap, but they're
Mhm.
all industry veterans like Carly uh, Beechler, and then you have Shanti and Nadiv. If you know these people, like, they've been in the industry forever. They're really good at what they do.
Yeah.
And we just had a meetup out in Vegas before EDC, and I'm sitting in a hotel room. We have a 2-day agenda. We crush it before lunch, and then everyone is just like brainstorming and working through problems for scale. And it was an incredible meetup. All of these people already
Mhm.
know what to do. They know what to do better than I do, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just moderating basically. And they're going to deliver incredible results. Why? because we didn't hire a bunch of junior people. We went out and got the best talent possible who want to build cool shit. And so,
Hmm.
like cheaping out on talent and not paying your people well is just not an effective strategy. Like it's just not.
Hmm. Yeah, you're talking about turnkey profit generating hires. Like hire
Yeah.
people that are smarter than you in their specialized field and then turn them loose, let them go.
Hmm.
And a lot of people don't think of that. Like I come across some pretty like amazing, professionals with their compensation expectations, and none of it blows me away. Like if somebody says I make $500,000 a year, I'm like, that's awesome. Tell me more about your accomplishments and your revenue generation, your profit generation. And it's like, okay, you made $500,000 because you generated $20 million of business and, multi-million dollars in profit. Of course, you're going to make a small slice of that, which equals $500,000 in total comp. It
Of
makes
course.
sense.
Yeah. I mean, look, Josh makes more off of OfferVault than I do.
Dude,
True
yeah.
story. This fucking guy right here.
Yeah, but that's like my only revenue stream. You got a couple, I think, but yeah,
Wait. That ain't got nothing to do with it. My point is you find the right people and you take really good care of them and you
Yeah,
listen to what they say and you give them a voice and it's not always 100% everyone gets what they want, but like
yeah.
sometimes you got to bend a little bit and that's okay. And sometimes you got to take a risk and that's okay. And I don't know. I just want to work with amazing people everywhere, and I
Mhm.
have the luxury of doing that. I would never hire someone who's like a mid-tier player at any, like, I don't want B players. What am I going to do with that? Babysit them?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, you can either manage your business or you can manage personalities. It's your choice.
Exactly. Like, if I don't have great people, guess what I'm not doing? Writing books, doing
Yeah,
marketing, like
yeah.
thinking about the business in the future. What's really incredible about all the people at Ringba is they don't have a problem with whatever I want to go off and do like randomly. Like, they're not
Mhm.
concerned about this at all. They're like, we want Adam to go be Adam and not be doing any work, which sounds crazy, but they're right.
Mhm.
Like, they don't want me reviewing contracts or like approving things or whatever. Like, they want me off thinking about the next big thing, thinking
Mhm.
about, what's really going to grow the business. And what's really cool about smart people is they encourage my behavior. I
Mhm.
thought it was crazy when I took my first vacation in almost a decade in 2023. Dude,
Mhm.
my leadership team was like, this is amazing. Like, you need to go. Don't even talk to us. Just like go away. Like, just go think, go do whatever.
Yeah.
And they're amused by me going out and dancing and going to EDC and whatever. And when I come back, I have all these creative ideas. And
Mhm.
then I start to execute on those. And when you have really smart people, they enable you to do what you do best, just like I trust them to do what they do best. And
Yeah.
a lot of entrepreneurs can't handle that. They need to be in control. You may not believe this, but I mean, I guess I'm in control, but I don't really meddle in
Mhm.
anything. I'm like, what are the big decisions we need to make? What are the outcomes we need? And then I'll go and set boundaries or give resources
Mhm.
or whatever. Um, but I'm not like telling people what to do. I provide direction when necessary, but I'm not like, all right, engineering team, go use these components. Like, I don't care. However they want to solve, it's fine. And
Yeah.
if they need my help, I'm there. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's a different thing. I don't want to do any work. When I do work, it's a problem because I do it worse than they do. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not actually doing them any favors.
Yeah. Yeah. The golden rule around my house is that if there's something to be fixed, it'll cost more if I try to do it. So just call a professional, get them in, get it fixed, and you won't have to complain about it or miss something in your life because something's missing. Pay somebody to fix it and then move on.
Mike, I don't know if you or Adam have a hard cutoff, but a couple topics I do want to get to before we get you out of here because we're already
Sure.
rolling on like 45 minutes here, which is a good thing. I'm curious, what's the job market in our industry look like today, and how has it changed over the past 12 months? You know, specifically related to like everything going on with one-to-one consent happening or not happening,
Mhm.
as well as like the explosion of pay per call in our space. How has it kind of directly impacted what you're seeing on a job market front?
Yeah, the last 12 months has been like interesting, frustrating, mysterious because when they wanted to implement the one-to-one consent, it made a lot of companies in the space very nervous, and because they weren't able to monetize leads, right? Like imagine like you're a broker of some kind, you were able to sell the same lead 5 times, and all of a sudden, the government is saying you can only sell it once. So you're going to take like a 60, 80% drop in revenue pretty quickly, like starting at the end of January of this year. Like I went to Lead Generation World and I actually got, like a customized t-shirt made up that said pivot, from Friends, with Ross, with the couch. He's like, anyway, so I got that made up, and then like literally days later, they last, there was like a last minute, appeal on it, and it was a successful appeal that got that one-to-one consent shut down. And then from that moment forward, like people were able to kind of ramp back up. But the last 3 to 6 months of 2024 were very nervous, and a lot of people were doing layoffs. They definitely weren't hiring. So it was a slower market for me, obviously, in the headhunting side. But now 2025 looks very prosperous. And then obviously over the last, like 12 months, 24 months, pay per call has been a huge solution for advertisers because the most valuable interaction is a phone call, like, is actually talking to the customer versus an online lead, right? So yeah, this year is going to be pretty prosperous, and I'm actually working pretty heavily with a direct to consumer e-commerce company and helping them fill 10 to 15 roles right now in their marketing department. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty big year for e-commerce and also the lead generation industry and pay per call as well.
So, what should employers focus on, you know, with everything you just said in mind when they're trying to recruit talent? Obviously, outside of hitting you up and working with you.
That
What,
would be a good solution.
yeah, what should their mindset be and what should they really be looking for in a new hire?
Well, probably the biggest miss that people make, at least in my view, on the recruitment front, is that they put out a job posting and the job posting is very task and responsibility oriented. But if I'm the most qualified candidate for that position and I read that, you're not really answering the number one question that I have as a candidate is, why should I quit my current job and come work for you? Like, is this a career advancement opportunity? Are you a big brand? Are you like, financially fit type of company? Great tenure with your current employees? Are there positive or negative reviews online? So probably the biggest thing that I would recommend for is employers is anytime that you're trying to recruit talent is one, you got to figure out, are we a good career choice for somebody and how are we telling that story? And almost every job posting that I see out there does an extremely poor job with their company bio part of the job description of answering that question of why should somebody quit their job and come work for you? And the second thing is when you put up job postings, you're really only showcasing your opportunity to the active job seeker. The best candidates in the marketplace are not looking at job postings. They're working. They're happy. Like, the possibility of them currently being laid off is pretty small. They're probably super busy with their jobs. So that's when you need specialized recruitment to step in to kind of complement those job posting efforts and actually try to figure out, well, who are the top 10 candidates in the marketplace for each specific position? And then market that opportunity directly to each individual until you get feedback from all 10. Some of them will ghost you, they won't reply to you, but you got to figure out a way of, well, how do I get an answer? And then you'll get the best choices at the end of the process if you're actively trying to get answers from the best candidates versus the best candidates that are actively looking through job postings.
So on the flip side, what would be your advice to the candidates themselves when they're, looking for that next opportunity?
I would definitely say they need to quickly present their relevant skills for the position that they're applying to. The golden rule with resumes is that zero, the number of people that want to read resumes is zero. So
I mean,
you
do
have
people
to,
even do people even read resumes anymore? I mean, from what
well,
I hear, it's all an algorithm and they get a stack of people that match their qualities they are looking for. Like, are people maybe then they look at the resumes, or are resumes
yeah,
like not
basically what
even?
happens is when you put up a job posting, you're probably going to get a minimum of 200 applicants to it, right? And then most companies will use an applicant tracking system that will have some type of filters on it, right? Like people ask you, are you authorized to work in the United States? Yes or no? Do you have 2+ years of experience in this type of role? Yes or no? And if people answer no, then they're automatically disqualified. So there will be, it's kind of a funnel, right? So the people at the end, those resumes will get reviewed by an HR professional or hiring manager, but they absolutely hate that process of reading those resumes. So they're going to read whatever you present to them first. That's why you have to have some type of value snapshot statement at the top of your resume, quickly highlighting your relevant skills and experience for the position that you apply to. And then they might be interested in reading the rest of it. But the majority of the people out there are unfortunately doing a poor job of the way that they create their resumes. And they can be the perfect candidate. But the reason why they're the perfect candidate is on bullet points that are spread out, like could be number 3, 7, and 12. The person reading the resume is never going to connect those dots, and they might not even read those 12 bullet points.
Do you have any resume advice for people watching this episode right now? I don't. You probably don't want to give away like your secret sauce, but like maybe some just high level bird's eye view perspectives on really easy things someone can go and do right now just to adjust the formatting or what order they're presenting the information on a resume
Yeah,
that you think works 9 times out of 10 more than what people are doing or just not paying attention to.
I think probably the biggest advice I could give people is you got to have that value snapshot statement at the top of your resume. Your overall resume has to be accomplishment focused. People like they're going to see where did this person work? Where did this person work? Do I know that company? Yes or no? Maybe. What did they do? Is that relevant to the position that they're applying to? Yes or no? Yes or no, right? But more importantly is what did the person accomplish during their tenure at that company? They want to see dollar signs. They want to see, percentage over quota. They want to see how many new partners did you bring in? They want to see activity, right? They don't care about your task and responsibilities. They can fully understand the company that you work for and the title that you have, what 80, 90% of what you did task and responsibility wise. They want to know if I hire you, will you move the needle for my company?
And then what about newbies? I guess you could look at it on a potential candidate front, someone trying to get into the industry and looking to find an opportunity, but as well as newbies on the employer side who
Mhm.
are looking to start a network, hire the right people. How would you kind of tell them like where they should really be focusing their energy to find success as quickly as possible when it comes to hiring the right people or on the candidate side to finding the right opportunity?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the newbies, I do get calls from, connections of mine that want to get a friend into the industry and they ask me, well, how do I do this, right? Like how do they do this? And kind of the starting point, I think, is like you really need to invest some time in understanding the ecosystem of the industry in regards to what type of companies are out there, how do the companies interact? It's kind of like, you got a merchant or a brand, so that's the offer. Then you got affiliate networks, so you got the traffic side. Then you have the consumers, and then you got all the tracking companies and so on. And then try to figure out well, what roles are available within those companies on the employer side, and which one closely resembles the past experience that I have as a candidate and the type of personality that I am. Like, am I a hunter? Am I a farmer? And then, try to follow those companies as a starting point. Try to join industry groups and social media to see what type of conversations are happening between all these companies within the ecosystem. And then, attend trade shows and start asking questions. The biggest advice that I say to somebody who's new to, say, Affiliate Summit or, other, major trade shows is just put up your hand saying, you know what, I'm new. I'm going to ask him some stupid questions. And then just by saying those words, you might have asked you some questions. The amount of love that comes the other way, then people will just say, yeah, ask me whatever you want, man. Like, I'll try to help you out in any way that I can. Like, you're willing to like invest time in the industry. I want you to be successful. So just try to learn as much as you can so that you know what the conversations are and you know what the potential questions might be. And then, just try to educate yourself. Take free training. There's affiliate marketing free training out there. Get a sense of, try to figure out which certifications you can get for free, and then try to figure out which paid training you can take that paid training certification would be respected with employers. And then that's one case of showing your investment of time ahead of other candidates that want the same job.
Well, Mike, I got to say thanks for coming on the show, man. This was a special episode. I can't believe it's like almost quite literally been 10 years since we first connected, through me looking for a job in this industry. And here I am almost 10 years later, thanks to your help. So I appreciate you coming on the show.
Hey,
Uh,
no
I'll let
problem.
I'll let you leave our audience with just, a sign off, if you will, for performance marketing jobs. Where can they find you? How can they get in touch with you? And, who specifically should reach out to you?
Sure. Probably the best places to reach me are through LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn about 10 hours a day. Facebook as well. Love to talk to employers about their talent needs, give them feedback on, what I see with the challenges that they have. And my direct email address is hire@performancemarketingjobs.com.
Yeah, I'll be sure to put that in the description. Are you on Instagram as well?
Yeah, I'm not that active in regards to posting stuff.
Yeah.
I do have some, DMs going with,
Well, I'll be sure to
candidates and
tag
employers.
you. I'll tag your page on anything we put out on there. But
Okay.
for myself, Josh from OfferVault, Mr. Paper Call, aka the shirtless stud, Adam Young. He's not on here anymore, but he'll like that watching it back. The
I thought that
industry
was Zac
legend.
Efron. Wasn't that Zac Efron?
Yeah, the industry legend who sadly could not join us, Harrison Gevirtz, as well as our special guest, Mike Carney, founder of performancemarketingjobs.com. Let's make that paper. Let's make that go. This was the Affiliate Marketing Show. We will see you next time.